Today on Beyond 6 Seconds.
Being a great leader is very important to me. So making sure that I'm conscious of how I communicate and being the example and leading from the front, all those things are a lot of pressure when you think about it, because the people that work with you, it can change their lives and their families' lives.
Welcome to Beyond 6 Seconds, the podcast that goes beyond the 6-second first impression to share the extraordinary stories and achievements of everyday people. I'm your host, Carolyn Keel. On today's episode, I'm speaking with Tyler Jackson. Tyler is the owner and founder of Trove Branding Consultants, a social media management agency that caters to entrepreneurs, brands, and corporations worldwide. Tyler, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak with you today.
Awesome. I'm happy to speak with you too. So tell me, how did you get the inspiration to start Trove Branding Consultants?
So I've actually always loved social media. It's something that comes naturally to me and something that I did all the time in my personal life. I actually started a YouTube channel about 10 years ago, and that's where I really learned the power of social media and working with companies and just the power that we have for, the buying power online. And I noticed a lot of brands were opting towards working with influencers and small businesses as opposed to, larger celebrities or large companies because there was more impact and they had more engagement. So I actually worked in the corporate world as a sales and marketing recruiter in Nashville, Tennessee. And we used social media a lot. We used LinkedIn the most, but LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram to kind of attract the best candidates. And that's where I got the inspiration to really start working with businesses and helping them to build their social media. So I wanted to be able to offer my services to those who maybe can't afford a huge marketing firm and help them to get visible online.
Oh, very good. So you've been active in social media for quite a while. It sounds like with your YouTube channel about 10 years ago, and you've kind of learned different things along the way. That's great.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's been about 10 years personally, and then professionally, I've been doing it for about 4 years.
Awesome. So when did you start your business? Was that when you started it 4 years ago, or was it before that?
I actually officially started my business in October of 2016. And honestly, it was just about word of mouth. There are so many people, small businesses and entrepreneurs that needed my services and they didn't have the time to manage their own social media. So I kind of just stepped in there and took over for them, and it just grew from there.
What kinds of social media branding advice do you provide to entrepreneurs and small businesses?
Building a really strong foundation is important to me. I tell people all the time, just make sure that you're being consistent. Branding is important, but branding is a lot more than, your logo and your colors and your brand board and things like that. Your brand is who you are and what you represent and your values. When we think of great brands, we think of like Apple or McDonald's or, there's so much more to them than just their logo. So yeah, that's what I try to make sure that people are representing, and being authentic online is super important, and just making sure they're building brand awareness because, in this day and age, if you're not visible, then it's basically out of sight, out of mind. So consistency and just building an authentic brand.
And do you find that most entrepreneurs or small businesses that you work with already have a sense of who their personality would be or how they want to appear in the marketplace? Or do you ever have to help them figure out who they are or how to manifest themselves on social media?
It just depends. It depends a lot on their target audience. Social media is a little bit different. You have to be more transparent. And what I find with a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses, they're not used to being as transparent and offering as much value. In the beginning of my career, I read Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk. It's an awesome book about offering value. So the jab are the free resources, the value that you're giving every single day. And then the right hook is the sale. So many entrepreneurs and businesses, they want to ask for the sale right away. They want to put their promotions on social media all day long. But you really have to build that trust in order for people to buy from you, because people don't want to buy from people that they don't know and they don't trust. So that's usually where it's kind of tricky and where I'm trying to kind of pull people out of their shell or businesses and help them to be more transparent. And once they do that, that is what attracts your ideal customer and the people who want to be in, I like to call it your tribe. because you want that free exposure where people are always talking about your brand because it resonates so well with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. Everything that I've heard, particularly with social media, is that you really need to post and share a lot of content, even if it's your own free content that you're giving away. And I could imagine that many entrepreneurs and small businesses may not want to do that necessarily and may really want to go for that sale. It's interesting to be thinking of ways to strike the balance between giving away, you don't want to give away all your stuff, but then how do you build that trust and show your personality and find your tribe, as you said?
Exactly.
So you mentioned that you worked in corporate and spent many years there before officially starting your own business. What would you say are the most important skills that you're using to run and grow your business now?
That is a great question. So I think that one of my greatest skill sets is being a forever student, is what I like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn everything about running a business. I want to learn everything about social media. Social media changes all the time. So I have to stay on my toes to make sure that my skill sets are in alignment with what my clients need. Also, the business side, I'm very into like self-help books and leadership books and finance books because it takes all those things to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses, they become stagnant when they don't continue learning. So that's probably the greatest skill.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think being an entrepreneur it's all about learning because you wind up wearing many different hats and everybody has strengths and opportunities for development. And you just kind of have to learn how to do things and try new things. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned you spent some time as a recruiter before you started your business. How, if it does at all, how does your experience with recruiting specifically help with your digital marketing and social media work now?
So recruiting is honestly a lot of building relationships and selling. You're ultimately, trying to get the best candidates to your positions, and all businesses, they involve sales. So that's definitely helped me to build my business.
Mm-hmm.
I speak with a lot of very talented social media managers and marketers who want to grow businesses, but they're not as strong as sales. So sales is definitely one of my strong skills, as well as communicating. I talk to people all day long
Mm-hmm.
and building those relationships. So recruiting is actually what kind of opened up the door into social media, and just honestly, I just kind of merged the two.
Oh, I see. So in your recruiting work, did you actually use a lot of social media to advertise jobs or build relationships with candidates, or did those ever intersect during your corporate career?
Absolutely. So we utilize LinkedIn, Facebook ads, YouTube at times to show what's going on in the company and keep people updated, Instagram, blog posts, all the aspects of digital marketing because we're just in a society where everything is on the internet and everyone's looking on Glassdoor to check out a company, and they're looking at the social media, and people want to work with people they like and they trust. So I definitely utilized it a lot with recruiting.
Yeah, that seems like a perfect fit. So tell me a little bit about the biggest challenge you faced in launching or running your business, and how did you address it? Or maybe how are you still addressing it?
Wow, that's another great question. So in the beginning, in launching, I think the biggest obstacle was definitely finances and going from getting a steady paycheck to learning to manage my finances myself and pay myself and pay a team. That was definitely difficult. And I think that a lot of people who want to start businesses, that's usually their biggest fear is the finance aspect. So I just made sure that I got very educated on what I would need to do as far as paying taxes. I got with the CPA immediately and just made sure that I educated myself on that so that I would be set moving forward. So that was one of my early on obstacles. Today, right now, is probably the largest obstacle I've ever faced, and that is building a team and scaling. Bringing on the right people. Even though I was a recruiter prior to this, it's a lot different when it's your baby, it's your business, because you want the right people in the right places. You want people who are very passionate. And obviously, I think that I can do everything the best. So it's hard to delegate. being a great leader is very important to me. So making sure that I'm conscious of how I communicate and being the example and leading from the front, all those things are a lot of pressure when you think about it, because the people that work with you, it can change their lives and their families' lives. So that's the biggest obstacle that I'm facing now.
Interesting. And I know you mentioned before that you still read a lot of self-help books and business books. Do you have any good leadership books that you like to look at for direction on being a good leader? Or it doesn't have to be books. It really could be any kind of resources that you recommend or that you enjoy.
Absolutely. So right now I'm reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and it's awesome. But it really just helps you to hone in on why you started this, your why, and that helps me to impact others and make sure that I'm adding value to others. Because in the beginning, honestly, it was about I want to start a business and I want to leave the corporate world and I want to be independent, and all those things are great. But entrepreneurship is hard. So if you don't have that connected to a why, it's going to be really difficult to move forward. So that's what I'm reading right now as far as leadership. Another really great book that I read in the beginning of this journey was The E-Myth, and it actually has to do with the 3 different types of people that it takes to run a business. And typically entrepreneurs, we are going to be stronger in one of those 3 than the other. For example, he basically breaks it down like this. There's the worker. The worker is going to be the one that's working really hard, or he calls it the technician. Does all the work, taking care of everything. There's the manager. The manager is all about systems and organization. And then there's the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur is all about vision and big picture. And I'm definitely more entrepreneur and worker than I am manager. I'm not as organized. I'm not as meticulous. I see the big picture and I know how I want to get there. I'm also the worker. I love to work. I work really hard. So I had to take a step back and figure out how I wanted to organize my business and create systems and SOPs so that I was able to scale. So that's a really great book for anyone who is an entrepreneur or looking to get into starting their own business.
Interesting. Yeah, those do sound like 2 really good books. And I think it's great that you're studying leadership and that your business has advanced far enough where you're now bringing on a team and growing. That's really exciting.
Thank you so much. It is.
That's great. So what has been your most meaningful success story with a client so far?
Wow. So there are so many, and I just love seeing my clients, they honestly become my friends, blossom and grow in their businesses. But just off the top of my head, I have a real estate client, and she hasn't been active on social media. She really didn't want to put herself out there. A lot of people have trouble figuring out, the balance of oversharing and not sharing enough. So we kind of worked on that balance, and we launched her Facebook page about 6 months ago. And earlier this year, we decided to come up with a campaign to do a home buyers challenge. She wants to sell 50 people from that challenge a home this year. And we've seen her sell about 10 houses in the past 4 months. So that's really awesome to see her impact people's lives and change their lives. And that's, why I do what I do. So I've just enjoyed watching that unfold this year.
That's really great. Real estate agents are entrepreneurs in their own right, and using social media well can really help them stand out. And that's exciting that she's got that success in a relatively short amount of time with her campaign.
Absolutely. It's very exciting to watch.
Looking forward, what would you say are your goals for your business? Where do you see yourself going with this?
Like I said earlier, I want to continue to scale. I'm based in Atlanta. I've worked with clients worldwide. I've worked with clients in China. Actually, none of my clients are even local to Atlanta, but I basically want to grow into one of the nation's largest social media agencies and continue to serve small businesses. Larger businesses, they have the budget. They can work with these large marketing firms, but I'm an advocate for the smaller businesses and watching them grow. So my goal is definitely to continue to scale and build a strong team and help them change lives and change their families' lives and continue to impact others. I know for me as an entrepreneur, my why is to impact women and young girls. So I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements this year, and I just want to continue to put myself out there and show people the power of social media.
Cool. And I think it's great that you're doing it with small businesses and entrepreneurs. And I'm curious, since you mentioned that your clients, really none of them are immediately local to you, and it sounds like you have international clients as well. How do you get business in all different parts of the country and the world? Is it all word of mouth, or how do you connect with everybody?
Yeah, that's a great question. So honestly, I use the same tactics for my business as I do for all of my clients. Social media, the power of social media.
Wow.
I'm huge on visibility and putting myself out there. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm very active on Facebook and in Facebook groups, very active on Instagram. And that's just the power of social media. There's people all over the world that you can connect to. So honestly, that's where I get a lot of my leads and my clients.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. And especially with China, where I imagine that a lot of the social media platforms are a bit restricted over there. I imagine it's especially challenging, but that's incredible.
It is very challenging, and the time zone.
Oh,
but
yes.
we make it work.
Awesome. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about Trove Branding Consultants?
They can find us online at Trove, Trove Branding Consultants.com. Also on Facebook at Trove Branding Consultants. On Instagram at Trove Branding. Any of those ways you can find me.
Awesome. And I'll also put links to your website and your social media sites in the show notes of our podcast so people can find it there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Great. Is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know, or anything that they can help or support you with as we close out the podcast today?
Absolutely. So I just want to close out by saying that if you are on social media and you are using it to grow your business or your personal brand, to continue to give value and add value to others. I know we think about the followers and the revenue that we're bringing in, but it's so important to make sure that we're serving others and making an impact. And when you do that, the revenue and the followers and all of those things, they will come.
That's great advice. Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for being a guest on the podcast, and I wish you continued growth and success with your business.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Beyond 6 Seconds podcast. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes or your favorite podcast player so you won't miss any episodes. You can also find all the show notes and links we discussed in this episode at our website, www.beyond6seconds.com. Until next time.